what fundraising's not. This is the podcast where we are just pulling back the curtain and teaching and showing and educating, and in some cases, certifying people around charitable gifting of real estate. We're doing this series with Dr. Russell James because he is the foremost authority on how these bad boys go down. And so today we're going to talk about financial advisors. Now, I've been told that 65% of the donations of real estate are actually instigated by financial advisors, but it's been my experience out in the marketplace, having talked to a couple thousand of them, that they really don't know that much about it. Can you help us with that?
Oh, sure. So what I would suggest is to think of it this way from the advisor's perspective. As you look at your client's wealth, I can pretty much guarantee you that the largest unmanaged asset for most of your clients, it's going to be real estate. It's part of their net worth. It's part of their wealth, but it's not something that is part of your management portfolio. Now, one of the reasons for that may be that investments in real estate are often held longer than the clients actually want to hold it. Well, because they're worried about that capital gains tax penalty that comes when they sell it. So if you happen to have clients who have charitable goals, there's actually a way to accomplish several of these goals all at once. So the idea, you might call it a charitable real estate rollover. It's basically where we transfer that piece of real estate into a donor advised fund, a specialty nonprofit that focuses just on these kind of real estate transactions. We can then sell that asset with no capital gains tax. We get an upfront income tax deduction for the full fair market value of that real estate asset. And then we can use that to do two things. One, we have now pre-funded all of the clients' philanthropic charitable giving goals that they have, for the next year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it may be. And so that has been taken care of. And in the meantime, as an advisor, we can often manage that money inside the real estate related donor advised fund. And so that management can then lead to greater growth. Obviously, that's a tax-free environment, which is going to lead to greater assets under management. And you're able to help the donor in a really tax-efficient way to accomplish their philanthropic goals. But they're doing that with assets that you aren't currently managing. And in fact, they're converting those real estate assets into a donor advised fund where you can manage those assets. And it can end up being much better off for the client with charitable interests. And the reason being that now, as you have access to more of their wealth, we can actually do a better distribution of their investments to match their goals, their strategies for the long term by getting more of that assets as assets under management to fit into part of that plan. So it can be a really powerful way for clients to accomplish their charitable goals in a tax advantage way that actually expands assets under management and really expands assets under management with big chunks of that coming in a tax-free environment in that donor advised fund setting. So I hope I didn't throw too much out at you there all at once, but it is something that can be super advantageous for the client and very advantageous for the financial advisor or wealth manager as well.
Well, one of the things I've loved about my conversations with you is not only are you a numbers guy and really understand the numbers, but you also understand the psychology and you understand the benefit of this as a business development tool as well. For all these financial advisors who aren't doing this, what would you say about the ones who actually become charitable real estate specialists and have that as a tool in their tool belt?
So one of the things that we've learned over time is that the key to long-term relationships with clients in financial advising is really to get into what are their goals, what are their values-based goals. if you're out there and you're trying to compete by saying, hey, we're going to beat the S&P 500 every month, right? Or, we're going to get you an extra 2 or 3 basis points or whatever. The problem with that kind of an approach is there's always a better deal coming along. There's always somebody with a slightly better number. And, people then will just jump to that slightly better number. But if instead we build these values-based relationships with our clients, where we're talking not just about the return on investment, but we're also talking about, what's important to you to accomplish philanthropically? What kind of an impact would you like to have on this world? And once we identify some philanthropic goals, if the clients have those, then we can use that expertise that we have as financial advisors and the additional expertise to understand how to deal with real estate to be able to help them accomplish those values-based meaning goals. And this is actually really important as a business development tool because these are the kinds of relationships and honestly the kinds of conversations that so many clients are looking for, right? They don't necessarily want a financial advisor that's going to try to beat them over the head with what is beta and what is alpha and how do we measure the, look, they want to know, do you have their best interests at heart and are you competent? And so part of that first part is having those values-based conversations about their philanthropic goals, among other things, and helping them to do that in a way that is not only smarter, but provides meaning to what they're trying to accomplish and provides some meaning for your relationship. One of the things we see again and again on these surveys is when clients are asked what kinds of conversations they would like to be having with their financial advisors, they're often wanting to have those charitable conversations. And oftentimes financial advisors, they just aren't doing it. And so that's really an unmet need, especially among the high net worth clientele.
Well, that makes me think of all the 1.3 to 1.6 million nonprofits in this country and how every single one of them have donors that need to understand how this works. And all of these financial advisors could be partnering with us and with those nonprofits to talk to their donors about this, because clearly a nonprofit's donor list is full of people who have philanthropic intent.
Sure. And that's one of the great strategies if you're in financial advising, if you develop expertise in charitable financial planning, that you can come alongside your favorite nonprofit. Share something at a board meeting. The board is likely going to have some of their high capacity donors on it as well. And you can talk about these charitable strategies, charitable real estate strategies, and how that can be advantageous for the donors and for the nonprofits. And so it is really a useful and important niche in two ways. One, of course, it is a business development tool, but beyond that, it's a way that financial advisors can use their skills to accomplish some really powerful and meaningful philanthropic goals, to really have an impact on their community by helping clients, helping new clients to accomplish these philanthropic goals.
Well, speaking of building relationships and business development, the question always comes up with the real agents of change. We have a lot of real estate agents all over the country, very seasoned realtors. And we've told them, look, the majority of these transactions come from financial advisors because they're the ones that have clients that they know need a tax deduction and or want to be philanthropic. So our real agents of change are wanting to talk to financial advisors and they're just not sure what to say to them. They seem to think that because it's a financial advisor, it's not good enough to tell a story. What would you say to the real estate agents and others who are wanting to talk to this unicorn of a financial advisor?
Well, if you're going to go beyond sharing a story, share a story with a spreadsheet, right? So give an example to the financial advisor of how powerful this can be and show them what happens not only when we avoid all of those capital gains taxes, we get that massive upfront deduction, but we're also pre-funding all of those philanthropic gifts that the clients are making for multiple years. And beyond that, we're able to manage those assets in the meantime in that donor advised fund structure. And really, you go that next step where, yeah, it's still going to be an example, it's still going to be a story. But for the financial advisor, you want to share a story with a spreadsheet that shows how much more powerful it can be if a donor is not just, or if a client is not just writing checks, because essentially writing checks to the charity is the least advantageous way of making a charitable gift. And we can help them to give smarter. We can, work together as professionals. Financial advisors aren't going to know anything about how real estate works as far as the sales and the brokerage and all of that. And the real estate professionals, they're not going to be interested in how we're going to structure this portfolio in a way that's going to meet those long-term goals for the clients. So they really do need to work together because they each have expertise to bring to the table that can be really powerful when they come together in that sort of a setting.
Well, thank you for that. And for those of you watching, if you're finding this interesting, as I know I am with Dr. Russell James, you'll also want to see the rest in this series where we're talking to him about how nonprofits benefit from these gifts and how real estate agents and donors do. So, Dr. James, thanks again for your brilliance. And we will see you on the next part of this series, which at this point is with the real estate agents. And we're really going to start talking about social responsibility too, and why this is the best social responsibility campaign out there. See you on the next episode.